So we take another foray into the world of dinosaurs. This has the feel of a reboot, but it's claiming to be a sequel. It takes place years after the last trilogy ended and has none of the old cast. It's kind of like Tokyo Drift, except they still brought Dom back at the end of that one, so I guess it's not like that. Welcome back to The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking Jurassic World Rebirth, starring Scarlett Johansson, written by David Koepp, and directed by Gareth Edwards. Now, if you're enjoying these rankings, or if you just like the idea of getting a review of an action movie based on it being an action movie, please consider subscribing and/or following, liking, and reviewing. Please put any of your questions, comments, or suggestions into the comments area, or email the show. And if you super duper like it, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TheRankPodcast. For those that are uninitiated, the whole idea here is I'm ranking action movies based on 10 categories. Those rankings are on the website. You can see where the different movies we've already ranked are, but I'm curious, how will Jurassic World Rebirth rank against the action heavyweights like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I should say Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Edge of Tomorrow even? Well, let's find out, starting with the Potent Notables.
Potent Notables.
So as always, the Potent Notables start with the movie's financials. It came out July 2nd. For its first weekend, it garnered $92 million domestically, though because it opened on a Wednesday instead of a Friday, it has actually grossed $147.8 million domestically and $174.8 million internationally for a worldwide total of $322.6 million. And this is against a budget of $180 million. So unlike F1 from last week, this has already made its money back and will have no problem turning a profit. It only needs to make $40 million more, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to do that its second weekend. Interesting though that we've got a $200 million movie and then a $180 million movie back to back. We're watching some high cost movies here. So this next Potent Notable is just a fun one for me. In the background in the movie, like right early on in the beginning, I noticed a school bus that said Crichton Middle School, and it was painted on its side, and I just thought that was fun. It's obviously a reference to the late Michael Crichton, the author of Jurassic Park, the novel that spawned the film franchise. So the reason that's fun for me is The Andromeda Strain was the first novel I ever read. I think I was 9 or 10 years old. And then afterwards, I ended up reading every single novel he wrote, at least under his name. That was just fun to see that. Now, apparently, Scarlett Johansson has been a huge fan of the franchise ever since she was a child. So she spent the last 10 years before this film was announced trying to join the franchise, saying she would have been fine with appearing in one only to die in the first 5 minutes if it meant she could be part of it. Well, I guess she got to be part of it because Jennifer Lawrence and Amanda Seyfried both turned down the role of Zora Bennett, which is what she ended up getting. Jonathan Bailey, who stars as Henry Loomis, also contributes to the film score. He plays clarinet in several orchestral tracks and performs the solo heard during the scene when his character touches a dinosaur for the first time. That's kind of neat. Gareth Edwards, the director, revealed how the new terrifying mutated dinosaur, which is glimpsed briefly in the official trailer, so I'm not giving anything away, was designed, explaining that he drew upon classic movie monsters that have been scaring audiences for decades. Quote, when you make a creature, you get a big, massive pot and you pour in your favorite monsters from other films and books, end quote. So he used Alien Xenomorph, Return of the Jedi's Rancor, and the T-Rex from the original Jurassic Park as influences. Quote, some Rancor went in there, some H.R. Geiger went in there, a little T-Rex went in there, end quote. So I will say, to me, when I first saw the thing, I was like, that's a Xenomorph. It looks like a giant Xenomorph. So gross. He also apparently dropped everything to direct the film, stating before production, quote, I was about to take a break and I started writing my next idea for a film. This is the only movie that would make me drop everything like a stone and dive right in. I love Jurassic Park, so this opportunity is like a dream to me. And to work with Frank Marshall and Universal and David Koepp, who's writing the script, I think they're all legends, so I'm just very excited. Of course, just like Scarlett, he was not their first choice. David Leitch was in talks to direct the film, but eventually turned it down because of creative differences with Universal. I have to say, I would be very curious to see what David Leitch could have done with this. So just throwing that out there. The scenes with Dolores ended up being among the longest shooting days of the entire production. And it wasn't because of the Dolores animatronic breaking down or anything like that. Actually, it was because the infant dinosaur was so adorable that the cast and crew kept fawning over her and delaying shooting. The film makes use of John Williams' themes at several points in the movie, but it was not a decision that was made light. So Gareth He talked about the decision, which of course also involved the film's composer, which was Alexander Desplat.
Pardon my French.
I don't know. He sounds French. That's probably how you say it. You know, they only say like 3 of the 15 consonants that are in their words. Anyway, quote, this is Gareth. You play the game where you go, okay, do we not do it at all? And we tried a version of that. We tried a version where we took it out completely and it just didn't feel right. As a fan, it felt some magic was missing. And so then it was like, okay, we play it once. Where are we putting it? And that was a problem for me because I wanted the end credits to have the theme, the way the end credits were in Jurassic Park. Then you go, but then we're not really playing it in the movie, which is a shame. So we go, okay, let's play it twice. And so it ended up in these 2 places, but then there are obviously 2 themes. So I felt like, okay, we get another token. We can play that one somewhere else. And so they're all in very strategic moments. There are little hints of the themes that Alexander did himself over some certain character moments where he just slightly goes to hint at it and goes away. That was really Alexander. And the whole reason he wanted to be a composer was because of John Williams. So he basically would always have competitions about who's got the most pressure because he was having to compete with John Williams. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm having to compete with Steven Spielberg, so get over it. End quote. It's kind of fun. But speaking of Spielberg, Gareth was really nervous to get his notes. Quote, it's a nerve-wracking moment when you know Steven is about to call you to give you feedback on a film that you've shown him. It's kind of like the moment you dream of and fear all your life. I remember the phone just sat on the coffee table of the edit suite, and my editor and I were just looking at the phone, just waiting for it to light up. End quote. Now, naturally, when he did get the notes, he just did everything that Spielberg advised, because, quote, when someone gives you some notes, you can't help it, but in part of your brain, you go, yeah, but what do you know? What have you ever done? But with Steven, if you go, what have you done? The answer is every masterpiece you've ever loved. So you sit there a bit like, I'm just going to do everything you say. Every single note you give, I'm doing it. End quote. I get that, Gareth. That makes sense. Although part of me wants to be like, well, maybe if you hadn't, it might have been a little bit better. Who knows, right? Anyway, let's go to the last quote notable here. This is the only Jurassic sequel to not include any characters from the original Jurassic Park, nor returning characters from any previous film in the series. All other films in the franchise have featured at least one character returning in some capacity. So there you have it. Those are all the potent notables. Let's go to the movie overview. So we take another foray into the world of dinosaurs. This has the feel of a reboot, but it's claiming to be a sequel. It takes place years after the last trilogy ended and has none of the old cast. It's kind of like Tokyo Drift, except they still brought Dom back at the end of that one, so I guess it's not like that. Well, whether a sequel or a reboot, one aspect they kept is the whole genetic modifications to make new types of dinosaurs thing. One of which, the big scary one, is a xenomorph looking thing, which does definitely look gross. So why do humans get messed up with dinosaurs this time? Well, apparently, getting blood samples of the largest animals in the sky, land, and sea would cure heart disease in humans. Because their hearts are so big and they live for so long, you see. So let's all just pretend that we don't know that the blue whale is the largest creature to have ever lived on Earth and still exists. So that doesn't make sense what they're doing, but let's just pretend we don't know that. Maybe they're extinct in this world. I don't know. But that's the premise.
That's bad writing, not that it matters.
They need to go get some mercenaries led by ScarJo, a random museum guy, and the greedy corporate guy. The random museum guy isn't just a museum guy. He's a scientist who apparently is the guy that knows that the blood of big dinosaurs could cure heart disease in humans, and he told a pharmaceutical guy. So yeah, that's why we get the greedy corporate guy. So now they're all going. And then ScarJo's going to bring on her crew of mercenaries as well. Okay, look, I get it. It's not easy to come up with a reason for humans to be fucking around with dinosaurs, right? And yet, we end up having a random family join because they got stranded in the ocean and had to be saved by our intrepid adventurers. Now, I'm just spitballing here, okay? But what if this family got blown to shore on this remote island that has dinosaurs and then calls for help and we have to send a mercenary team to rescue them? Doesn't that just seem like an easier plot? I get that we don't have the science versus nature theme with that one, but you can still have the undertones, the subtext, rather than this ridiculous save heart disease plotline. Anyway, or cure heart disease, not save it. All right, so just to sort of hammer this home, I never really cared all that much about the mercenaries, but I got real invested in the random family. Part of this is the dumb plot, as discussed, but the other part is that the storytelling was just better with the family. They used subtlety and relatability with them, but with the main group, they basically just shoved, hey, this is why you should care about them, down our throat with ridiculous exposition. I really don't understand why they didn't use the family showing up as a way to bring up the mercenary backstories instead of having them talk to us essentially about their tumultuous past. I felt felt like the movie was saying, you have to like these characters. And the contrarian in me was like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm my own man. Anyway, stupid plot devices and poor character development aside, what this movie did do well was build tension. And for a movie like this, that's really important. I was genuinely squirming in my seat with the tension when face to face with the different dinosaurs. Now, if we didn't have that, this would be a total loss. But because we get that, it kept me engaged throughout the whole thing. It even did eventually get me to care about one of the mercenaries, which was Mahershala Ali's character. But that could just be the parent in me. I'm a sucker for when movies show a parent loving their kid. Another aspect I enjoy about this movie and series, I guess, is the world building. It's actually quite fun. The idea that there's an alternate universe where dinosaurs are alive because of humans, and that humans are forced to sort of coexist with them. Basically, these are aspects that I enjoy, but the most enjoyable is the action, which is what we're here for. So let's see how it did. Let's go to the rank. So the rank is where I rank the movie based on 10 categories: story, acting, originality, action sequences, film coherence, hero appeal, villain appeal / hatred, supporting characters appeal, the final showdown, and my rank. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. The first category is story, which I gave a 2. So the story here is ridiculous. It's completely ludicrous. Honestly, the family's shipwrecking storyline saves this from being lower than a 2. This just didn't need to be what it was. Or if it was going to be that, then make it like they needed to collect the venom from that spitting dinosaur or something. Anyway, yeah, not great. So let's go to acting, which I gave a 3.25. Could anyone have told Scarlett to stop smiling so damn much in this? It was such a bizarre choice for this character to always be smiling at everyone. It feels like when they did that story about how Julia Roberts' movies made more money the more she smiled, like the studio was like, she has to smile all the time so that we make money. It just felt very wooden. Honestly, all the mercenaries felt weird to me, and the Loomis character was just random. Anyway, the acting was pretty ho-hum. Mahershala Ali was good despite not having a great character, but it was the family that really kept this score from being any lower. Also, Rupert Friend, who played Martin Krebs, was pretty decently slimy. Okay, just one more thing before I move on. Manuel Garcia Rolfo, who plays Ruben Delgado in this, is it just me or is he basically Gerard Butler? Like every time I saw him in the movie, I was like, is that Gerard Butler? I look at pictures of him online and I don't see it, but I swear in the movie he looks just like Gerard Butler. Okay, moving on. Next category is originality, which I gave a 2. I mean, I gave them some points for the monster mutant dinosaur designs. They felt original enough to not go to a 1. Come on, the movie's not original. The next category is action sequences, which I gave a 4.75. The action sequences were top notch. I guess the only reason I'm not going 5 is because sometimes it felt like they really made these dinosaurs ineffective hunters, and that feels unrealistic. Now, I do get that my calling a movie about dinosaurs chasing humans unrealistic is absurd in and of itself, but I stand by it. So let's go to the next category, which is film coherence, which I actually gave a 4. So the story was ludicrous, but they stuck to it. Like at no point was I guessing what was going on, but I was wondering why they were doing it. One thing though, what was the point of Dolores? I mean, she was adorable, don't get me wrong, but it didn't seem like she did anything to advance the plot. Anyway, that's fairly minor. So let's go on to hero appeal, which I gave a 2.5. I'm sorry, but Zora didn't really do much for me. By the end, I was sort of rooting for her, which is why I didn't go any lower. I don't know. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't very good either. Next category is villain appeal / hatred, which I gave a 3. I can't decide if the villain is Krebs or the dinosaurs. I decided to go with Krebs, who was decently villainous. He was believably all about the almighty dollar, and they produced a plot point that worked for his character to take the route that he takes. So I think 3 works. So let's go to supporting characters appeal, which I give a 4, because I really enjoyed the family. I ended up enjoying Mahershala Ali's character some too. The rest were pretty ho-hum, but the family definitely keeps this movie from being a waste. So let's go to the final showdown, which I gave a 4. So the final showdown is the gang here versus the dinosaurs, which I know doesn't make sense if I didn't make them the villain, but it makes sense for Jurassic Park movies, so whatever. Anyway, it was tense and action-packed and well done. I think my biggest issue is, why can't they just be dinosaurs? Like, why do we need a giant xenomorph dinosaur? I didn't knock it down for that or anything, but I knocked it down for something that happens at the end, which is kind of a little too much, but I don't want to give anything away. But yeah, to me, it's like you could have just had a T-Rex there and it would still have been fun. Anyway, we'll go on to the last category, which is my rank, and I gave it a 3.25. As far as action is concerned, it's a lot of fun. The Delgado family and the action make it worth watching. The plot is dumb, but if you just shut your brain off and accept that they're just doing this for who gives a shit, then you'll enjoy it. So that puts the total for Jurassic World Rebirth at 32.75, which puts it in the tier meh mediocre, which seems right. So thanks for listening and or watching, everybody. If you'd like to see a list of our movie rankings by genre, you can do that on our website at therankedpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankedpodcast, where you can get access to our archived episodes. Adios. Will Jurassic World Rebirth? Oh, sorry. I just wrote this sentence. I don't know why I'm stumbling on it.
I told you to read it slowly.